This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is Todd Vanzuilekom of Lifestyles North, Royal LePage. What's going on, my man?
I'm going to congratulate you on saying my name properly. I appreciate it.
No worries. So you gave it to me before we came on, and then I'm saying it over and over in my mind. And then, of course, the intro comes in and I get tripped up. And now I'm staring at my screen going, oh, my God, here it's going to come out.
That was good. I mean, you can say Todd Van. I've lived my entire life with a pretty complicated name when you look at it. So I've always kind of just went with the Van name. It's easier. So
no, that works. That works for me. Happy we got through it. And so before we start, Christmas is around the corner. Holidays are coming up soon. I know a lot of people are looking forward to taking a little bit of time off. So people burning the candles at both ends. It's been quite the year. You got any plans coming up for the holidays up soon? You kicking around? You taking off? What's going on?
You know what? Based on our business, we kind of have to leave ourselves open all the time. So it's not unusual to have a busy Christmas season, especially in the area we are, where there's lots of seasonal properties. And if we get all the snow that's supposed to be coming in the next few days, it's going to be busy up here. So I kind of always leave the holidays open. You know, you have the usual family stuff that you do on the day of or the day before and the day after. But for the most part, it's likely going to be a work week. Hopefully I'll get some skiing in if it opens up by then, but
Nice.
It's going to be busy for sure.
You got the snowblower tuned up or what?
Of course. This is Gray in Simcoe County. We get a lot of snow, so you got to be ready. Tune it up in September and you're good to go.
So I'm getting married. Before we get into this, I'm getting married, and we'll probably talk a little bit about it in the show, but in June next year, 2025. Yeah. And so I obviously get the chance to, meet my significant others, a family. They're absolutely lovely. And there was this one grandiose piece of advice I got from her dad, which is a booklet. Have a booklet, and then you write in like all your oil changes for all your stuff, toys, work stuff, right? So yeah. I wrote down, I'm like, last year I did an oil change. Do I need to do another one this year? Well, I barely used it last year, so I think I can squeeze out another season before having to do something like that.
That's definitely a dad thing. I think my dad did the same thing, and I certainly do it now. So I actually I have a little sticker right on the machine, and I write on it when my last oil change was.
That's insane. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I'm scrolling through socials the other day and just found a different way to, cut an avocado or peel an onion or shave something. And just like, I can't believe this exists. How to open up a can of soda pop, and it's got the lid, the cardboard lid. And every time you're shoving your hand in there, trying to get the last can, or really you open it up and you flip it over. And they all just come towards you, and you just grab it every time. Like that.
I know, right? They're called hacks, and yeah, we're all supposed to know about them, but we don't.
So our listeners are like, Sean, can you just get into it? I want to get to know this guy. So why don't we dive right into it, Todd? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so I'm a real estate agent. I work for a team called Lifestyles North. We're kind of situated in the Gray and Simcoe counties. We're heavily into marketing. That's kind of our business and our forte. We deal with a lot of luxury real estate, but we deal with, real estate in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 range too. But the difference is that we treat those properties the exact same way we treat our higher end properties. So with regards to things like the types of photography and the drones that we use and the actual marketing that we apply to each and every one, it's kind of the same. So again, Gray Simcoe, we've got a dedicated marketing manager. We have a team of salespeople. We're busy, and we work out of the largest brokerage in our area. So it's awesome.
I've had a few real estate agents on the show, and people can gloss over that, right? Typically, it's a little bit easier to understand real estate agents, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. But what makes your brokerage and yourself different?
Yeah, I mean, we all have this idea of what real estate is because, with all the shows that are out there on HGTV, They kind of dramatize what we do. So it's one of those businesses where everybody kind of knows everybody who's in real estate, and that's true. But the reality is that 10% of the actual agents out there do 90% of the business. I mean, that's
Right.
really. I mean, for us, what really sets us apart, I mean, we work for a phenomenal brokerage that is centered out of the Collingwood area, but we have offices all over Simcoe and Grey, largest brokerage in the area. As far as the team is concerned, our team was founded by two marketing experts who have experience in the music industry and packaged goods. And they kind of came out here and applied a marketing strategy that was very different at the time. I mean, a lot of it has been duplicated and repeated and copied over the years, but they kind of came out here, made a name for themselves very, very quickly. And it was all centered around things like magazine quality photography and floor plans for homes and things like video tours and walkthroughs and drone photography. Even the signage and the logo and the branding, like everything was very, very different. Now, people have caught up to that. That's fine. It's flattering when people copy what you're doing because you're doing it correctly. But we're always looking for innovative ways to kind of grow the business and make it different. But we're a team, and that's the beauty of having a team in real estate is that you're not just supported by one real estate agent. You have a team of marketing people, you have operations personnel. So the great thing is that your real estate agent can focus on selling as opposed to focusing on all of the administrative stuff. So it really frees up our time. It allows us to have good relationships with our clients and really focus on what matters, which is, listing and selling your home or helping a buyer buy a home.
Yeah, 100%. It's always interesting on the show because we ask relatively the same questions with a couple of curveballs here or there.
Yeah.
I like to let curiosity lead the conversation in most cases. And a lot of people in real estate have various different backgrounds and their journeys leading up to doing what they're doing. So we talked a little bit about, your business, but what was your journey like leading up to doing what you're doing today?
My journey kind of started when I was a kid. I was a normal kid in most ways, but I had this little quirk that, I was really into cars, but more from just looking at pictures. I liked the mechanical aspect of it. I liked the business of cars, but I also liked homes. And, I'm not sure if they still do it anymore, but back in the day, my dad always had the Toronto Star newspaper on subscription, would come to the house. And Saturday mornings, I would always grab that Toronto Star. And inside you had the wheels section, which was the car side. And then you had the new and home section. And those were the two sections I pulled out. Most of my friends pulled out comics. Most of my friends pulled out the sports sections, which I love sports too. But those were my two things that I grabbed. And I just kind of devoured the home section, devoured the wheels section, and, started to learn about the business, understood, things like architecture and floor plans and what made sense and what didn't make sense. And, we also had a community newspaper that came every week, which had the showcase of homes. So this was before, we had the internet, right? And you would follow all the listings in this showcase of homes, and they would have all the faces of the real estate agents at the bottom. And I started to memorize these faces, and I would see them around town, and I'd be like, oh, that's so-and-so. And oh, that's so-and-so. So it kind of was, I was in a position where my family was in the car business. No one was in the real estate business. So I was kind of like probably destined to be in the car business, but always had this, this pull towards real estate. So that's kind of how the journey started. Over the years, I got into the car business, which my father was in. And, long term, I thought that was going to be where I would end up. But I was always still pulled to real estate. And I started to invest at an early age. I bought my first house very young. I bought my second house the very same year and became a landlord, rented them out. And something happened in 2005 where my family or my family's involvement in the car business changed. My dad got out of the business, and I was kind of forced with a decision to either choose to stay in it and not work alongside him, or do something different. And real estate kind of came top of mind. But again, I didn't do it. I didn't jump into it. I took my skills and experience and worked in other industries, automotive related, but also in the gaming business. I don't think those were mistakes. I think they've kind of made me grow as a business person. It's made me learn things. I've worked in human resources. I did lots of things in between that I've kind of been able to parlay into real estate. But it got to a point where I had to make a decision again. And I took the plunge. I took about a year off of work and I jumped right into real estate education, and that's where I am today. It's been the best thing I've ever done. Love it.
To what capacity was your family in the car business? Was your dad just
a dealer? Yeah, no, a dealer. Yeah. So I worked in the business as his, I started very young, just kind of washing cars. I was kind of the lot guy. And then over the years, I got into sales. I got into used car management, general sales manager, leasing manager. So I had a pretty wide or pretty broad set of skills when it came to the car business. So I was ideally suited for the car business. But, I don't think there's a lot different between the car business and real estate. It's still sales. It's still marketing. And it's still, relationship building with your clients and customers. And
yeah, people business for sure.
It's the same. Yeah.
I'm just curious because I did 9 years in the automotive business. So I'm curious what dealer he had back as before.
It was Mazda. Yeah, Mazda. So it was Japanese. When I was young, my dad was a corporate guy with Nissan, actually Datsun at the time. It would have been, back in the 70s and early 80s. And we were transferred around the country from BC, which is where I'm from, and then into Ontario. There were a couple of opportunities where he could have gone back. And my mom chose at the time to stay in Ontario. She had a sick mom. So that changed his direction. Instead of being in the corporate world, he started to work for a dealer and kind of grew from there. So always been around Japanese vehicles. And it's funny, I drive a domestic now, but always around Japanese vehicles. And, I love the car business. It was great. And I think if I had to make two choices in life, it would either be that or real estate. Those are the two places I'd be right now, without doubt.
Very cool. So for those who are listening, share with us, do you have any myths, any misconceptions of, what happens that we could enlighten the audience a little bit when it comes to real estate?
Yeah. Don't watch HGTV and believe everything you see, please. They are produced shows. It's not like that. I think that's the hardest part is that, this is a very tough business and it is a very competitive business. And the unfortunate part is things or shows like HGTV or, even when you go on the internet and find your way onto certain sites, there's lots of comments that are made. And there's this misconception that, real estate agents are overpaid, that we don't have to work very hard. And that is so far from true. There are a lot of real estate agents out there that struggle. There are a lot of real estate agents out there that don't make it because they just can't get it to work financially. There's a lot of upfront costs when it comes to listing homes. There is lots of work involved that turns into nothing more often than not. And can it be rewarding financially? Yes, it can. But you have to work very hard at it. It's not as easy as they make it look on TV. We don't sit there and, cruise around in our Rolls Royces, drinking champagne and watch the deals roll in on our computer. It is lots of work, sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 12, 13, 14 hours a day. You miss a lot. It's very hard to schedule your days. It's very hard to plan around family events because things could change in a heartbeat. But I think that's kind of the biggest misconception, that it's easy and that, we're rewarded too much. But the reality is we're taking care of what is essentially the largest investment most people will ever make. And there's a lot of legal concerns when it comes to drafting offers, when it comes to listing homes, when it comes to selling homes that most people aren't aware of. And certainly, sometimes you'll have a listing that'll sell very, very quickly. And that's great because that's what we're supposed to do. Sell your house as quick as possible for the most amount of money. And other times, you could have a listing sit for 6-7 months and you've invested, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars into marketing that property. And the client cancels the listing and you're left holding the bill and there is no money. And that happens. And I don't think a lot of people are really aware of that.
No, that's certainly enlightening. I was going to add to that. You already mentioned, but it's a tough business to just shut off. Like a normal person, a 9 to 5, even other similar industries, you could just shut it off. You put the phone down, you go do your day. Where there's so many different dynamics to real estate that, like you said, it's hard to plan around certain things because if the phone rings, like you gotta take care of that. Things are kind of running around you versus the other way around typically.
It's super hard. I mean, I can think of, during the pandemic, I mean, it's pretty well known that, in real estate, things were running pretty strong for a couple of years. And there were so many personal obligations that I had to cancel because I was dealing with a client. And, if you're planning to go for dinner and it's, your dinner reservations are at 6:00 and you have an offer come in at 4 and that offer has an irrevocable a time that it needs to be responded by 8 or 9 o'clock, you are going to be juggling. You're going to have to try and figure out a way to get that done. You're likely going to have to cancel your dinner plans, and you're kind of at the beck and call of people out there. And that's not a complaint. That's the service we provide, right. But it certainly does change your days. Sometimes it's very hard to plan appointments. I mean, even doing this podcast today, you're looking at it wondering, what if I get a showing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? I'm not going to be able to do this, right? So you're always scheduling, rescheduling, canceling things, trying to fill your holes where you can. Do we have some flexibility? Certainly we do. There's certainly times where we're not doing anything, but you always have to be prepared to kind of pivot at a moment's notice and change your plans.
So you could change your title on your business card to professional juggler.
We juggle all the time. Yeah, 100%. That's what it is. It's juggling. The car business, having had experience there, and I mean, you said you were in it as well. I mean, it's more appointment based, right? There are definitely times you got to come in, after hours, but if you're a salesperson on duty, you're on duty during those hours, and unless you have appointments made, you leave, right? But in real estate, it's kind of like, okay, tomorrow I'm open, but in a half an hour, I could get a phone call and a client wants to see 4 homes. Well, it's my job to show them the 4 homes. So I'm going to go and show them the 4 homes, and that becomes my day.
Totally. So in life, we walk this path, right? We pick our path. That's the path of life. We decide to walk that path, and life isn't easy. We know this. It'll throw things our way. Sometimes they're challenges, sometimes they're obstacles, sometimes they're in forms of tragedies. And I've always been, impressed with and fascinated with human beings, right? There's their ability to be able to overcome certain things when the times get tough, right? And mindset is a big thing to do with that, seeing the glass half full, pulling silver linings from bad occurrences that happen and trying to see the positive in that to turn it around and move forward from that, right? Because we have to move forward. That's life. We keep moving forward from there. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge, maybe something you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you pulled some silver linings from it?
Yeah, you know what? I think, I kind of mentioned it earlier, I went to school specifically for an automotive background. And, getting into the business at a young age, I made the decision very early on that I was going to do the car business. And everything I did was all about cars. And in 2005, I mean, that changed dramatically. I went from having this vision of where I was going to be. I had a couple of homes. I was, recently married at the time. I had plans. And those plans changed like literally within hours. And I now had to, and the other tough part there was I'd always worked with my dad. I'd worked with my dad since I was a kid. aside from me delivering newspapers as a kid, which certainly helped me with the odd time. I was answering phones at a car dealership when I was like 11 years old, and I had always been around him. And suddenly I was in a position where he didn't have my back anymore and I didn't have his back anymore. So I had to figure out what I was going to do at a time in my life where I felt there was a lot of pressure. I mean, I had always enjoyed the use of company cars, and, I had good flexibility with my hours, and, I could always bounce ideas off my dad, and that was very quickly pulled away from me. So I had to change my future. I had to make some changes. And, it's funny, at that point, I remember having a conversation with someone about real estate. And they knew of my interest in real estate and said, you should get into real estate. You'd be really good at it. And I just, there was an uncomfortableness. I thought getting back into something that I knew would be the easiest. So I, jumped back into the automotive business, and it just wasn't the same. And I guess that change in 2005, which brought me to a couple of other businesses and a couple of other skills that I developed, brought me to where I am today. And I think I did a lot of growing between 2005 and, let's say, 2015 from a professional standpoint. And I think that in itself has probably made me a better business person today, because, you go from being up here, life is good, everything's rocking. And then all of a sudden, your legs are taken out from underneath you, and you have all these obligations, and you've now got concerns about how you're going to, survive. You're so used to what you were doing, and you're so comfortable with where you were. I had to get uncomfortable and change my direction. And I think, for the longest time, I thought that was, you go back to 2005 and think what a horrible day that was when all that went down and how scared I was. But the reality is it kind of forced me into a business that I thought about when I was 7 or 8 years old and just never did. And to be able to work in a business where you've basically had a lifelong passion for it, and to get into it at a later time, somewhat later time in your life, and love it so much, that hardship kind of turned into a positive for me, for sure.
I mean, growth comes from being uncomfortable. Well, it's just a human nature thing. A lot of people shy away from it, but I call it the phase of suck, right? It's just a phase. But once you get on the other side, that's really when the brain starts decompartmentalizing everything. You analyze, and then you look back on that, and then one challenge leads to another challenge. There's always going to be challenges in life. And then you look back and you're like, well, that wasn't that bad. And then the next one you go through, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad either. And then you just kind of keep going. And then when you have a really big one, you're like, well, I've done all of those. I can do it.
It's kind of like saying, it's that saying where as you're sitting here today, try and remember what you were worrying about 1 year ago today.
Right.
And odds are you can't remember that day. Right. And things change, things evolve. And that made me change and evolve. It forced me into businesses that I never thought I would be involved in, but it all kind of makes up who you are now. And I guess that's one thing with getting older. Not that I'm super old, but these experiences shape you and, make you a better person, make you a better business person, make me a better real estate agent to, the clients that I serve, for sure.
I was relating a lot to what you were saying, because I had a very similar experience that happened in late 2019.
Yeah.
And a good portion of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said before that, from like 2013 to early 2019, I was in the automotive industry. I had no background, never sold a car before, and I went and worked for an automotive marketing firm. So I didn't know how to talk to dealers. I was promising them. We did private sales, so like client retention stuff. That's promising them how many deals that they were going to sell, and I like to say I had one butt cheek because I had dealers chew out one. I had one really nice lush one, and the other one looked like hamburger meat.
Yeah.
How much I was getting in trouble when I first started, but you grow and you learn from these types of things. And we grew it to like a $12 million business just in Ontario alone. Nice. And I had some really crazy personal growth come from that. I became a sales director. I was managing like 6 sales guys, and then an event management staff of like 42 people. We were rolling. And then COVID hit, and the big plant in Taiwan, and the microchips, and everything just came crashing down. And you watch what you built over 9 years, and then you have nothing to show for it. I hit absolute rock bottom, and then I was stuck into it. There were certain things that happened that I didn't agree with. And then I took an opportunity because I always wanted to be a business owner, and I was bullied my whole life growing up. So I was bullied in elementary school, bullied in high school, got into the workforce, bullied again. I finally landed in the car business, worked for very much an A-type personality. So managing through fear, definitely some bullying going on at this point in my life.
A lot of those in the car business for sure.
Yeah. Right. And then dealers and the no loyalty thing, and very performance based and cutthroat and all that stuff. So it's just like, I've been put through the ringer in my first, 15 years of getting into the working world and stuff like that. And then I took an opportunity and didn't realize that the actual business model, and as much as I really wanted to it, so I finally got to leave the car business. And then I sunk my teeth into something for 9 months, and I didn't have a life. I couldn't shut it off. I'd be working till midnight, up at 9 o'clock. And, you develop bad habits when you can't have your own fun. And then you're not making what you need to be making. So you're borrowing money, you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And then now taking the risk that I took to where I am today, still then in that same kind of financial situation. And then the personal growth from the last 2 years off of that has been something I try to pull from as a silver lining. And as much as that phase of suck really, really did suck, I wouldn't probably change it. I'd probably go back and live that whole experience all over again, knowing what I have now and the lifestyle I have now and what I get to do for a living now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade it for anything else. So I was relating a lot to what you were saying with having that pivot, that direction, and you're kind of like, I got to figure this out. How am I going to figure this out? And you're just trusting your gut. You're trusting yourself. You're the only one that can make these changes.
Financial instability is a really, in fact, there's not a person that I know that has ever gone through a situation where they struggle that way, that it doesn't at some point motivate them. I mean, it's not about having lots of money. It's about, being able to survive and enjoy your life, basically. And financial instability for me is a motivator. And I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated, money to me is kind of like the bonus that you get from doing a good job. But certainly when you get into a situation where there is that, financial worry, it does motivate you to work harder, grow, and be better. At this age, that's the thing too. Just kind of as a sidebar here, the older you get, your motivations change as well. I mean, I know as a younger person, it was, I was buying real estate. I was, working 12-hour days and, just to make money. And I wasn't enjoying my life. I had all this money in the bank and I had all these things. And when I say things, the things were properties, but, I wasn't going to the bar and having, drinks with my friends. I wasn't going on vacations. I was saving and saving and saving and saving. And, 2005 changed my perspective quite a bit. It's like, I've done all this, but I didn't really truly enjoy the last 5 years. And then, moving forward as a more mature person, you kind of value your time and your experiences as opposed to the money. And money's great. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Again, making money is awesome. It affords you to do many things, but it's not what it's all about. It's that work-life balance.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt when you have a rockin' head of hair. For those who are on video, they can see Todd's hair. How long have you had that for, man? You've always had a rock star head of hair, or what's going on there?
It's funny. When I was a teenager, I had hair down to my waist. So yeah, it was, anybody who knows me from back then remembers the kind of the Thor look that I had going back then. And yeah, I've been blessed with lots of hair, which is great. Lots of guys my age don't have any hair left. So yeah, I'd probably just jinx myself. And if I did this a year from now, I'll be bald. But no, I've always had this kind of hair. But without getting too technical, I got some weird things going on there, and this is what works. So
I love it, man. Well, hey, look, if you decide that you are starting to lose that marvelous lettuce on the top of your head there, you let me know, because my sister is a skincare therapist, and she's working with a very advanced, a very large business out of the US, and she's an ambassador for them. And then she also has her business here, and they're on the forefront of stem cell research, and she's got access to a product and a way to be able to grow your hair back. She's actually working on my dad right now, and it's working pretty good. So we stay in touch, and just in case you got to pull the ripcord, call Shawnee Boy. I got your back.
Hey man, a good head of hair is great, but the reality is, if I lost all my hair tomorrow, as long as I was healthy, I really wouldn't care. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Okay, so my next question is, you work a lot, and most business owners tend to work a lot because they're very passionate about what they do. It doesn't feel like work. And for the best ones that do it the best, it's not business here and personal lifestyle here. The business is who you are, but there's the thread that you got to kind of thread the needle with that. It's never a balance, right? People use that terminology. I used to use that, work-life balance. It's never a balance, because a balance is perfectly balanced. It means it's even. So I like to call it a harmony. Imbalanced. Yeah, an imbalanced harmony, let's call it that. But a tune that, sounds the best, and working the difference between not working too much, but enjoying life, like you were talking about before. So when you're not working on your business or in your business, what does Todd like to do for fun?
Well, one thing I've dedicated myself to, pretty much my lifetime, aside from maybe, a few years here and there, is I've always been a gym rat. So to me, it's one of the best places to go. I put my headphones in, I crank up the old long hair Todd rock and roll music.
Nice.
And pound out the weights, 5-6 days a week. So that to me is a huge stress reliever. It's my medication. It's one of those places you can go. There's no distractions. Everybody in there has a similar mindset, and gets out your aggressions. You leave, you feel good. That's kind of there's no movement there for me. That's something I'll continue to always do. And then of course, living in this area, I mean, you can't live in Simcoe or Grey County and not have an affinity towards skiing. So I'm a big skier. I probably skied about 100 days last year, even though we had terrible weather last year. But I got out. If it was just for an hour, I'd get out for an hour. I do a little side hustle, doing some ski instructing in the winter, which gets me nice on the odd day. I can kind of pick and choose my days, but yeah, definitely skiing. Love it. The gym, love it. I'm active with my son. My son is into basketball, so I like to watch basketball with him. I go to his games. He plays rep basketball. My daughter, who's in university right now, she was heavily into it as well. So that was something that I always enjoyed as a hobby and as a sport with them for a number of years. But yeah, those are probably my big things. I'm not a voracious reader. I do like to read the odd time. I'm not a big TV watcher, but I'll get onto a Netflix series and binge it really quickly. But for the most part, I'm like every other real estate agent. I spend my spare time, browsing our board websites, looking at new listings, and yeah, that's me. not super exciting, but
I snowboard. Jeff's the big workout guy, so you'd like him for that. He's always in the gym, and for obviously all the health benefits and feeling good, but the dude's super buff, so he puts a lot of effort into into his frame and in his body. Me, I'm kind of more like I'm going for the dad bod look, right? So I'm getting married coming up soon. Like I got to get in the gym a couple times. I'm like the beach body guy, do it in front of the TV, just get it done real quick. Don't have to get in the car.
Dad bodies are in apparently. So,
well, that's what my fiance says. She's like, "You look great, hon." I'm like, "Perfect. Give me like 5 pounds of just trim the excess winter fat, and we're good to go."
If she likes it, that's all that matters. It doesn't really matter, right?
100%.
It's a lifestyle, right? It's eating, it's sleep, it's supplements, it's dedicating yourself to the gym and watching your body and responding to to how you feel and how it changes. And for me, even on those days where I am tired and I'm not feeling very well, I'll always go to the gym. It's just I know that when I go there and I leave, I'm going to feel better. It's just it's a big commitment, but it's, like I said, it's my medication. It eases stress, removes anxiety, and it's that personal space you can go into. And skiing is much the same. I mean, if I'm skiing by myself, I just kind of zone out and ski. It's just a place where you can kind of just have fun, right? And to me, the gym is fun. Some people, it's not fun, but I find it fun.
Yeah, hockey's like that for me.
Yeah.
Hockey and golf in the summer, hockey in the winter.
Yeah.
Except this year they put our league and put us in a league way higher than we should be. I don't even know how that happened. So we got pumped like 8-0 last Sunday. I'm like, I got some speed to me. Like I'm an okay hockey player. I'm not like a really good hockey player. I'm an okay hockey player.
Yeah.
So, I've got, when I want to turn on the jets, like I can make a move, I can make a move. I'm a good passer. I can score goals, stuff like that. But when you're playing these guys, like I'm got everything in the tank just to keep up. You leave there and realize you're like, man, I'm such a shitty hockey player.
Yeah. Well, it'll make you a better hockey player. There you go.
Yeah. So there's my exercise every Sunday without fail.
Yeah.
Love it.
I golf too. I joined a golf team, I guess, probably 2 years ago. I joined a club and we did a men's night where, I was golfing with 3 guys who were clearly better than I was. They gave me a very generous handicap, which is probably why they wanted me on the team, because it certainly helped our overall score. But playing with guys who are better than you will make you a better player. And
100%.
You kind of have to remove the nerves and humble yourself and realize, I'm playing, like I'm a 6 foot tall guy. I weigh a couple 100 pounds, and I'm playing with this one guy who's probably 15 to 20 years my senior. He's probably about 5'8", not in great shape, just drinks beers the whole time we play. But the guy can golf, and I learned so much from him watching him play, and realize that you can be in great shape and you'll still get smoked by these older guys. It was humbling, but I learned a lot playing with these guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love the league I'm in. I'm in a Thursday night league, and they usually play on a team of 4. So you're actually playing on a team, and then every hole is a different game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you're taking a collective score. So like a Scottish would be everybody drives, and then you take the best drive. Then everybody plays from that drive. You count. It'd be like a count 2 or a count 3.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3, you combine those scores, then that's your team score. Yeah. An Irish would be take the second best drive. They have like Lone Rangers. So 2 need to be in play. One guy goes alone. The other 3 scramble on the other ball. Yeah. It's just a different type of way to play golf. Guys are helping you read your putts and all that kind of fun stuff.
It's fun. It balances it out. Even as a crappy golfer, you'll have that one drive that's better than everybody else's, or you'll par a hole and no one else will. But to be able to play in a that to me seems to balance out the good and the bad, right?
Yeah,
gives everybody the opportunity and helps you love the game even more.
Yeah, totally. So, what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
What they want to know about my business, we are. And I think anybody who's in the sales business likes to say we are customer focused and, it's all about you. But the reality is we've built our business around, just the fact, again, with the team mentality is that we have different individuals in place that are very good at what they do, specifically with regards to listing and selling a home. And we allow our salespeople to sell, to do what they do best, which is sell, and not worry about, and I say not worry about, not have to deal with some of those other tasks that, take a ton of time and do require a certain amount of expertise. So when you list with Lifestyles North, or if you're working with one of our team members as a buyer, you truly are getting not just one individual, you're getting that team mentality. Your back is watched. You have tons of knowledge coming from so many different industries, like I said, music, automotive, packaged goods business, the health business. There's so many of us have done so many different things. So we bring a nice mix to the table, and we're not a giant team. And I think that's something that sometimes gets lost in some of the bigger teams, is that, you're listing with an individual, but you never meet that individual. It's someone else that you're dealing with. And when you deal with Todd of Lifestyles North, you work directly with Todd, and Todd has a team behind him that helps with all the other stuff. You're not dealing with Todd, my face, and someone else comes to your door, or someone you're not familiar with. So it's nice having a team of, where there's a size where we can keep that personal connection with the client. And that's our focus, is we develop relationships with our clients. We don't just sell your home. And I know this sounds cheesy. We don't just sell your home. We don't just, help you buy a home. We do develop relationships, because the end goal is, of course, like in any sales business, it's repeat and referral. And that is a huge part of our business, which tells me we're doing something right.
100%. Well, I'm sure there are going to be some people that are interested, that want to reach out, maybe get to know you a little bit more. Maybe they have some questions, want to learn some more things. And for those who are interested, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach you?
Yeah, you can go on our website. So just Google Lifestyles North. You can kind of see there underneath my name, just Lifestyles North. It'll come right up to where our team website is. You can always reach me through my cell phone. I can share it with anybody who's listening, 705-816-0349. So if you're living in Simcoe, Grey County, some of the surrounding areas, I grew up a large part of my life, so I know the area very, very well. Our team is spread out across that area. So essentially you can take anything from Barrie up to Tiny Township, from Aurelia all the way over to, pretty much Kincardine area, like pretty far that direction. We have a pretty widespread reach, but you can also email me. That's pretty easy, todd@lifestylesnorth.com. So simple to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone.
Rock and roll. Speaking of a great conversation, that was a awesome conversation. Had a lot of fun with you on the show, man. That was a really, really fun time. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.